Yes, we want to talk about the 2024 documentary produced by BBC, which they captioned TB Joshua Expose, how the disgraced pastor faked his miracles. I'm so surprised. First, TB Joshua died in 2021. It took them 3 years to produce that commentary. Two, okay, after their commentary, I'm taking about 2 years also to respond to them. I want to thank the Synagogue Church of All Nations for not responding to BBC. I like their response. Their response was very mature, simple. Simply, they just said, saying something against the late pastor was not new, raising allegations against him. Now, my surprise is that TB Joshua, BBC never bothered to carry out or use the same energy they used to disturb a man that was already resting with his forefathers. They didn't bother. That energy, they would have used it to go to the music industry. Why is it so that if somebody does not, according to the book of Revelation 13:17, said, nobody buys or sells unless he has the mark of the beast. No musician survives without belonging to Illuminati. It was not a concern to them. It was not a concern to them. Even when Sky B recently came out and stated why he became poor, because he refused to continue the initiation process of Illuminati. It was not an issue to them, at least to investigate why each musician, before you become popular, you must be a member of Illuminati. That was not their concern, because Jesus said, kingdom cannot rise against a fellow kingdom. Is BBC for propagation of the gospel? Answer obviously is no. Now, I want to debunk, or I want to follow them. That's 6 points they raised. Also, I am going to disabuse the people's mind about those 6 points. First, they talk about emergency department. That okay, before going to their 6 points they raised, first, those people they called. Now, let me assume that those people had lived in Synagogue Church of All Nations as they claimed. Let us assume in that aspect. Now, do you think is everybody that came in contact with Christ that was a believer? Was he not Judas Iscariot that sold him? The same Judas Iscariot was with him a day before Jesus' crucifixion. He was there with Jesus. A night before, they ate the Last Supper. He was there. It was after the Last Supper, the same person that sat on the same table with Jesus. So it is not news that a member of a church could rise against the pastor. It is not news that, so to speak, say that, okay, a brother can rise against a brother. That is not news. That shouldn't make any headline. Those people, BBC, we are interviewing. Do you think is everybody that comes to church is a believer? Some are still in the process of conversion. There are different levels of spirituality. So don't just think that anybody, because we have freedom of expression, somebody can come out and say anything and you believe it. The book of 1 John said, do not believe in all spirits. Test them. Yes, you have freedom of speech, but not everything the person says, you just accept it. I am now assuming, let me assume that they didn't use fictitious people or fictitious names in that the reportage. Now let us assume those people were real and the accounts were real. Now, do you think that those people were believers? That is on one point. Now, let's get their point one after the other. The first one, they talk about the existence of emergency departments. Those people that made the miracles to look real when they were fake. That the emergency department, this is the department that could separate the people that TB Joshua could heal and the ones TB Joshua could not heal. In every church, before you give testimony, you must pass through some departments. You cannot just come before the camera and embarrass people. They must know your intention and other things. And it's not different from that emergency department, as they claimed. Number two, they talk about issue of drugs. That in TB Joshua Church, when you came with your drug, they will collect your drugs. After that, they will be putting your drugs in one concoction and be given to you. You pay for it. Does that make sense? Do they think they are talking to fools? There are media. You put drugs. Those drugs become less potent. Is that what they are telling us? You bring normal drug and put it possibly in a concoction. Don't you know what we call drug reaction? So that one, of course, they can only take that one to the beds. That one doesn't hold water. They talk about brainwashing. If BBC were there when Angel Gabriel met Mary and told Mary, you are going to be pregnant without the proper way of fertilization, without a sperm, I think BBC could come and start, they could come and start publishing rubbish. That was also fake. They don't know anything about miracle. So we should hold it that way. Let it be that way. They don't understand it. They talk about issue of bribes. TB Joshua was generous. Even before the collapse of the building, TB Joshua was giving to people, donating to Haiti, many places ravaged by disaster. So when there was building collapse, if he could give anybody anything, it should be counted as part of his generosity. Then they talk about people providing medical certificates, but they failed to show us this medical certificate was produced by this hospital, and they confronted this hospital, and this hospital said no, that this did not emanate from us. You can just come and say this is fake. That's now we talk about the BBC talk about the court of TB Joshua's discipleship. See, you don't become a disciple. Even Jesus had 12 apostles. Out of the 12, he had 4 so close to him. So if BBC should be, during the time of Jesus, of course they could call those 4 close to Jesus the court of Jesus, or the disciple, whatever they can give it. Huh? You see people just wasting their energy on nothing. And finally, they talk about, video manipulation. What is video manipulation? I think one of the people they interviewed was saying they did the video. I'm asking BBC, when you go out for field operation, and when you come, do you just show everything? Don't you? There are some clips that are not relevant. You remove them. It's simple. Because you cannot make the writing verbose or the video so long, people will lose interest in it. It's simple. So what is manipulation there? People stay in the church. They are there. They see miracles. And after TB Joshua left, there are other people. So I don't know what is wrong with BBC. Jesus died at the age of 33 years. And TB Joshua died at the age of 57 years. So what for? So what is the issue? Are we, our life, are we supposed to live here till 80 years or 100 years? One of the respected pastors now that is under, public scrutiny. Well, is it not because of his age? He's not talking out of point. And people are getting angry. His respect is going. And people are calling for him to resign from his position. So what are we talking about? When you come to this earth and you finish your work, is it not to go? St. Paul said, if all our hope is in this world, we are 4 men, most miserable. Please, I will urge BBC, focus your energy where they are needed. Imagine talking about emergency department. Is it everybody? Was it everybody on earth that Jesus healed while he was there? In the book of Gospel according to St. John chapter 9, Jesus met a man that was born blind. And they asked Jesus, why was this man born blind? Because then Jesus was teaching them about if you do bad thing will come after you, things like that. They were not asking, what made this man to be born blind? Was it the parents or the innocent child that was born blind? So there are things that are very spiritual. There are things that are mysterious. So forget about it. Focus your attention on what you should be and not, dabbling into religious matters. Many people have received miracles from TB Joshua. I am one of them. I've gone there to pray and God answered my prayer. It's a simple thing and many people benefited. One thing in Christendom is still the same way it was in the time of Jesus. When Jesus was arrested, those people he healed, all of them disappeared. Now, since BBC reported, this stuff, none of those people TB Joshua healed. None of those people TB Joshua, helped came out to debunk the reportage. That is how it is. Jesus was arrested, everybody disappeared. Even Peter that was following from a distance. That is how it is. So I think I will end this video. Please channel your attention to where it is needed. Thank you.